juicy with Chrystal and Merf. Talking facts, sex, big feels, hot takes and kinks. We're breaking all the rules, babe. What you think? It's big, sexy chat. Say it back now. Big, sexy chat. Let's go.
Welcome back to Big Sexy Chat. In this episode, Chrystal and Merf are joined by the incomparable Jen McLellan, advocate, educator, and host of the Plus Mommy podcast. Get ready for laughter, real talk, some sex toys, and a whole lot of heart. Without further ado.
Hi, welcome back to Big Sexy Chat. This is Chrystal, your host, and my co-host, Merf, is here with me tonight. Hi, Merf.
Hi.
I'm so excited to have one of my favorite people on the planet and someone that I met through Fat Liberation. We have Jen McLellan from Plus Mommy and Plus Birth. Hi, Jen.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me back. You guys are awesome.
What year was that we met at the Body Love Conference?
2013 or 14?
Yeah.
Over 10 years.
I wish we could have a Body Love Conference every year.
That would be nice.
Well, that would be fun.
Yeah. Anyway, great. Welcome back to the show, Jen. We're so happy to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Love it. So tonight we want to talk about all things traveling while fat, flying, road trips, all kinds of fun stuff. Anything kind of fun that we can think of that we can do when we're not within the four walls of our damn home. So I don't know about y'all, but I've been staying here a lot these last couple of years because of things. The world is a little weird right now, but anyway, I'm so happy to talk about road tripping tonight and flying. I just bought some tickets from Southwest Airlines. I'm going to go to an electrology conference in Las Vegas, my hometown. So I won't be having that kind of Vegas fun, but the conference is on the Monday. And so I'm going to spend the weekend with my family and then go to the conference. So I did just buy some tickets with Southwest. So I do have some recent experience with that. What's been going on with you, Jen? I know your podcast is kicking butt.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the Plus Mommy podcast. I've done some traveling too in Southwest, but it was right before the policy changed and some road tripping. And I always just love to talk about advocacy and comfort with travel. So thanks for inviting me to join in on this chat.
Happy to have you here.
Absolutely. One of the things that when we were talking about different types of travel that I was thinking about were like hacks, things that you specifically do that like work really well for you. So like when you're in the car and you're going to be going for long hours, like what are your go-tos? What are your hacks?
I have like a little bag, and I do this a lot with traveling, like with flying too, but I have a little bag within arm's reach of like everything I might need: mints, tissues, a book if I'm not, the one driving, headphones, extra chargers, all those things. I find that especially in an airplane, because I got a belly and like I can't really lean all the way down and grab everything. So I'd like to have things easy with arm's reach that would fit in the pocket or just fit by where I'm sitting driving. So I'm just like, my guidelines for travel as someone in a larger body is comfort and advocacy and just making our lives as easy as possible. And I think it kind of applies to everyone. We just got to do things a little bit different because, the world is not necessarily designed for larger bodies.
True that. Those are great items. I love it. And don't forget to put your favorite cassettes for fun music. I'm kidding. CDs. So when I travel, I like to be prepared for everything too. And I was telling somebody today, even though I pre-buy my tickets and I buy 2 tickets on Southwest, I still get there 2 to 2.5 hours early because I want to make sure I don't want to rush. I don't want to be sweaty. I don't want to have to fucking run through the airport. And I just want to make sure when I get there, you see me, I need 2 seats. I need them together. Okay. We're not going to work if you give me A and C. I'm going to need A and B or B and C. So I'm just to take the stress off me. I arrive super hella early. What about you?
Oh yeah. I always arrive early. And when we were saying the word hacks earlier, I know now we have to buy 2 seats in advance, right? You can't just show up early as a lot of us have in the past with Southwest. One thing that I started doing, because I'm a girly with anxiety and medicated for it, so definitely have a lot of anxiety, is I started using PayPal's credits. So you have up to 6 months to pay it back. And I've always found with Southwest, after I travel, I can call. In fact, I need to call them. I need to call them for a refund on one of them. Thanks for jogging my memory there, friends. But the refund come really quickly for me, and I try to do it before I get hit with a credit charge, which clearly I messed up this last time. So we're all imperfect. But that has really helped me because I don't have the funds for 2 tickets, but I also didn't like the stress of not knowing if I
Yeah.
would be guaranteed a seat. So I know having the access to credit can absolutely be a privilege, but PayPal credit is pretty generous.
Great idea, Jen.
Yeah, I've used
I
it for years now.
They do give you I always get my refund really quickly. I used to skip buying the 2 tickets, and I would just show up, but now I would never do that. But yeah, that's a great way to do it instead of holding up all my money on my credit card. That's a great way to do it. You're so brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. And I know, like, believe me, Southwest is imperfect, but I've worked directly with them. I've had the privilege of being flown out at their first ever influencer event because they wanted a larger body there. They wanted some representation. And what was really amazing to me is like you kind of get an insider of what is the culture like in a business when you're at their headquarters. And it was so amazing that there are influencers that are not only pilots, but baggage handlers were all included too. And we were all treated the same. Everyone got the same treatment. The employees and I know influencers is a weird word, but the influencers that they flew in. And to me, that said so much. And everyone that I talked to was so positive and upbeat. And as many opportunities as I had, I talked about how much this policy of theirs has given me dignity with flight and travel, and that has meant a lot to me. So I just wanted to put that out there. I know we all wanted to know what was going to happen much sooner, and it would have been great if we could have heard something. But I'm thankful, and I still travel with them exclusively.
Me too,
Nice.
exclusively.
I do, except not always when I'm traveling long flights. So if it's like if it's California, Nevada, like those kinds of things, sure. If it's let's say if it's West Coast stuff, it's Southwest. But if I'm traveling like long distance, I'm usually paying for like Delta or American Airlines, that sort of thing. Just because they have like the nonstop flights where Southwest doesn't. They've got to stop a gazillion places. But we had a person reach out to us and ask us what's the difference in a plus size body between Comfort Plus versus first class. And I want to say I do have experience with this, but I do not. I didn't purchase those levels of seating. I had purchased an economy and the airline had screwed up on certain things. And so then I got bumped up to first class and then also got bumped up to Comfort Plus before. I can tell you the difference really is in the amount of space that you get. It really is different. In the Comfort Plus seating, I have a 4X hips, so I've got pretty thick. I think I'm like a 63-inch on my thighs. So when I sit down, like it's got a lot of space. But on the Comfort Plus, I could sit easily and not go into the next seat. And in first class, I could not only do that, but had a little extra space, but I had a lot of leg room. So there is definitely the advantage if you can afford it to upgrade it and have that luxury of space. It really does make a difference, especially on a long flight. And then the other amenities are much greater than the pretzels and your half a glass of soda. Like they give you like a whole can of soda and then all these different snacks to choose from. And in first class, you get the warm towel, you get orange juice or champagne, you get all the things. So The space is legit though. Like they really do give you extra space. But yeah, you're paying hundreds more for that. Just those inches. Like it's just wild that it's just inches, you know. But it really does make a difference, especially as somebody that like really struggles with going into the other side of the seat and needing two seats when I fly normally. So yeah, that would be it really does exist and it really is a privilege, but it is pricey from everything I've ever looked at.
But Merf,
Now, if you can get them to screw up your vacation, then sure, you know, they'll give it to you for free.
but Merf, are the toilets bigger? Because you're saying long haul, you just want to go, but the bigger I've gotten, like I want to have a layover now because I don't want to, unless I can maybe pee quick. But even then, it's like, oh my gosh, like the bathrooms are so hard to navigate in a larger body. So I think that's why I don't like. I'm fine with a layover now because I can get out and pee and stretch my legs. So I'm curious when you've been in that luxurious area of a different plane, are the bathrooms bigger?
No, it's the same horrible space that you get
Yeah.
everywhere else.
I have a gluten allergy, so if I
Oh.
get sick, I have to go to the bathroom. And I don't know the last time I went number 2 on the bathroom, and on a plane, on a plane.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's like I'm so afraid of that day when it comes. Like I am so careful with what I
Terrifying.
eat when I travel because I just don't want that to happen. I peed maybe like a year ago on a flight and I made it work, but it was not a very pleasant experience.
Agreed.
Yeah, when I flew back from FatCon this year, it snowed in Seattle that day. And then at night when I was leaving, it was really coming down, so the plane had to get de-iced. And the pilot said, "Okay, we're gonna get de-iced." He made it sound like it was gonna be like 5 or 10 minutes. Oh, it was like 90 minutes. And I try really hard not to drink too much water during the day when I fly because of this specific reason. So I did. I asked my seatmate. I said, "I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get out." Of course, he had to get up and move, and I came, whatever. And then I just opened the door and I backed in. Like,
Yes, same.
backed in, pulled my pants down, and I was wearing stretchy pants for thank God, and then just did what I could, and then back out. And I do have one of those travel things for squirting and cleaning stuff, but there's no way I could have done that there. There's just no way. So I had to pee. There was no way otherwise I was going to pee my pants. So it sucked. And it's terrible. It smells horrible in there. Jeez.
Oh yeah,
It's gross.
it's the
It's
worst.
disgusting.
I felt like wiping was like acrobatics because there's not a lot of room to like
1000%.
move. If
Yeah.
we're, we get real raw and honest here on your show. So but the thing is,
Drip
like,
dry.
wait, going back to advocacy, right? Like, take care of yourself, do what you have to do, and don't find shame. I think for me, like, I proudly ask for an extender when I'm getting on the plane, and I'll just stand there because I had one time where someone didn't give it to me, and then the plane started like taxiing, and I thought, oh, they'll remember, and they didn't. And when the lights turned off, I'm like hitting the call button, like, wait, like my safety matters because what I know and talking to pilots too, like, those air pockets when we have turbulence, we can be thrown up in the air. Like it's really our safety issue. And so not only for myself, but maybe even a seatmate too. I don't want to hurt anyone. So I'm going to ask for it and I'm not going to feel ashamed.
1000%. I find that asking for the seatbelt extender most of the time not a problem, and somebody around me might say like, "What did she ask for?" Like because they're just not used to that kind of thing. But I never found it to be a problem. I do see that sometimes people get really upset that they have to do that. I've just never understood that.
I used to be more embarrassed or I felt ashamed, but I don't anymore. I don't give a shit. But so at the time, like 10 or 12 years ago, I did buy my own set, and there's like one for Southwest and one for everybody else. But then I read that that's a problem, and that it changes if something does happen, how you might get a settlement from them because you're not wearing you're not using exactly the right technique or what do you call it, technology or the right seatbelt. So they said, don't do that anymore. So I just ask for it now.
Yeah, I know people were like, just get your own. And then the FAA issued
Said
something
no.
like, please don't. And I get it for anyone listening that like, it's hard. Like, yeah, sure, the first couple times it was hard, but the more I started doing it, and sometimes I'll even film it and share it over on social media because I just want to normalize asking for it. And the more you do it, the less scary it gets. And I think like prioritizing my well-being and knowing that I have the right and deserve safety just as much as everyone else. Like for years before I really got involved in the fat advocacy movement and met Chrystal and all these amazing people, like I would just kind of hide my seatbelt under a sweater, right? And pretend like it was buckled. And I'm so thankful that nothing happened. But what if it did? Like, I just can't imagine getting hurt myself or hurting someone else because of the fear of what people might think of me asking for something that provides me safety and dignity.
Amen. Have either of you ever used an extender for your car or for someone else's automobile?
I haven't, and that's something that I've been thinking about more because when I travel, I often need to Uber and it doesn't always fit, right, in the back seat. And
Yep.
so it's been
Yep.
something that I've like that's my next level of like empowerment and self-advocacy that I want to do because often it does, but not always. And then I question like, well, here I am putting my safety at risk again.
Yeah, I've done that. It sucks. Yeah, I need to figure that out too. And also, some of my friends, when I get in their cars, I don't fit well in their seatbelts. Usually I get in the back seat and it's uncomfortable for them because then they're driving and I'm in the back seat. So they're like a cab or Uber driver. They're like, it's weird with you back there. I'm like, well, I can wear the seatbelt back here. So, but yeah, I need to figure that out. But let me ask you, what do you two drive?
I drive a Hyundai Tucson.
Okay.
So it's
Oh,
like a smaller SUV.
that's on the list of fat approved cars. What about you, Jen?
It's
I have a Toyota Camry, and I was shocked at how it like we went. My car was dying, and we're like literally like shaking as we're driving. We left the mechanic, and they're like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna last." So we literally pulled into a Toyota dealership because my sister always said Toyotas are reliable cars, and I was so anxious. But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna be honest. So when that salesperson walked up, I was like, I need a car that fits my body. And I felt really proud of myself for like saying that. And to go along to bring it back to traveling too, like renting a car. My mom came out to New Mexico and she wanted to rent a car. So she had one too, but I knew that I'd be driving it as well because we were doing a little road tripping. And I was like, may I please test out this seat? May I please make sure my body will fit in it before we rent this car? And they were so accommodating and lovely and said, if you need something else, but was it a little like, oh, but then I got in my, I'm going to advocate for myself mode as opposed to the, oh, I need to make sure I fit mode. And it was really helpful. So when we were buying a car, I was testing out the seatbelt more than testing out the car and testing like how my body fit.
Once I went to the rental car place and tried on cars like weeks before we rented a car. And then when we got to the day of, the one they promised me they didn't have, so we got upgraded to like this really nice Volvo. And I was like, oh, geez, I want to own one of these, but they're really pricey. It was a really nice ride, but it fit so well. I was so shocked. What other cars have you both had?
Oh, we had a Chevy Trailblazer before. That was the one that we were like barely hoping that it would make it to the car dealership. And that was great too. My dad's F-150, at first I was like, oh, I don't know that this is the seatbelt felt tight, but then I guess it was just stuck and turned around. So that's a tip too. Like sometimes the seatbelt will be adjusted where there's actually a lot more that you can pull on. And I love when I go to California and visit my family borrowing my dad's big truck. I'm a very short, round teapot. I'm only like 5 feet tall and a half inch. So I like driving a big truck. And I found that most big trucks are actually quite roomy for bigger bodies.
I've always found that it's interesting, but I've always found that Honda Civics fit my fat butt quite well. Like I bought a Honda Civic and everybody was like, you might want to make sure. Like I literally had 3 people. Even my husband was like, I don't know. And then we got there and I slid right into that thing and I was like, the fuck? Why were you guys all shitting on me being like a Tommy boy, like, fat guy and the little, but it worked perfectly.
Yeah, I found that like even the RAV4 and they're little CRV. I fit in them. I was like so shocked. The only thing I will say is that they're a little low to the ground. So when I got to get out, it's like, oh, my knees. I'm
Yeah.
got to get my booty from really far down below my knees, which I usually try to stay at least like even with my knees. With my cars, I like to get out and just be like, I can just step out, you know? So otherwise, my booty fit in there. I find that cars that have a console are where I struggle. But even then, if I have an extender on my seatbelt, I can make it work. But they're not as there's so many different cars, so a lot of different extenders.
Something that I was thinking hack wise that works for long car rides and for air travel is compression socks. That has been super, super helpful for me. That and just like doing like little toe exercises where I'm wiggling my toes. Um, Taking maybe even like a little, not like the travel pillow that goes around your neck, but like one of those little, just kind of bar. Yeah. So that you can just kind of either put it between your lower back, in the seat, or like Chrystal said, you can kind of cover the seat belt so that it's not like, cutting you off and choking you. Yeah, that's been one of those that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I wear those Mojo socks, suspender socks, or whatever they're called, support socks, almost every single day. Because at my job, I'm almost always over my feet, and and then when I fly, I always put them on now too. 'Cause it's just so comfortable. But they're just from Mojo. They're like $25. They're available on Amazon or direct from them, and I love those socks. They look
Yeah.
like regular socks.
You were saying the pillow, Murph, and I had the neck pillow and it accidentally fell behind my back. And I leaned back and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so comfortable because I've got a booty, and then there seems to be like this little space in between that needs something. So
The
I've
shelf,
started,
the shelf.
the shelf. So I've started using the neck pillow behind my back when flying, and that has helped me a lot. I just sit more ergonomically, I guess. So because travel, I feel like does a toll on my body with swelling and stuff too, and that is reduced back pain. So yeah, I'm totally with you of putting a pillow behind her back. I found it makes a really big difference.
Absolutely. And it can be different size pillows, like whatever's most comfortable for you. But yeah, I have the shelf issue too. So there's that big gap in my
Yeah.
lower back, and so it really does like hurt if you're not moving around, and you don't get to do that a lot on a plane or in a car. Um, One of the things too that I've found that has been really helpful is uh and it literally just flew out of my brain. Of course that happens. I'm just I'll think of it when we're talking and be
No
like,
worries, no worries.
yeah.
I can
Um,
share something else around advocacy that I found
Sure.
extremely helpful with flying. And now I know not everyone's a window person. I'm a window person. But I literally get in, sit down, and then I wait for someone to finally want to sit in the row with me. But once they do, I'm like, hey, it's your lucky day. There won't be anyone in the middle. Um, and then I put on my headphones and I let them do all the advocacy work for me because they're getting the bonus of having the middle seat. So I don't have to do the work. And it has almost always worked out so fantastically. And people are like, oh, that's great. Like, okay, I'm listening to my podcast or whatever. And they're like, no, she has both seats, or no, someone's like, because it's that sitting there and people asking, but they're asking with that look of, oh my gosh, why do I have to sit here? Which just makes me feel like crud. So that's something that I've done that I've found really helpful is have someone else do that advocacy work for me.
I almost got into some fisticuffs one time with this guy. He was like, "What do you mean you bought it?" And I really didn't buy it at that particular time, but they give you an extra ticket. So I said, "Yeah, I already bought both of these. I paid for both of them." Say, "Are you? What do you mean?" Like, what means literally like I paid for these are both my seats. Well, they said it's going to be a full flight. I go because I bought both seats.
Ugh.
I don't know how else to explain this to you, sir.
I all three of us have had this issue then because
Mhm.
I just literally came back from a leadership conference, and my cohort member sat beside me, but she, we had the middle seat because I was able to have the middle seat, but she was on the end. And so it was a full flight. And so people are walking by and like, oh, can I sit there? Because she's literally like 98 pounds and she's tiny. So it's like, oh, I'm going to have all this space, right? And I'd say, I'm sorry, the seat's reserved. Because that's what they tell you to say. So I'm like, seat's reserved. And I heard this lady in front of us, she said, seats reserved? he's the last fucking person on the plane. And he didn't get it either, right? Like he's looking at me like reserved, whatever. And I like leaned forward because I was so pissed at this point. Like this is the second cohort member that's had to watch me deal with, fat bias when flying. And I leaned forward and I said to her, "It's an extra seat. It's been paid for. So yes, it's reserved. Not that it's any of your fucking business." And she was just like, and my cohort friend was just like, "Ha ha ha." But it was just, you have to say it all the time, and it's so fucking rude. It's just so rude that people are like, they're disgusted that they're first of all, they're late. Sorry, this is my tangent. I got to get off on this real quick. They're late on the plane, right? Then they're like, "Okay, well, you got to choose the middle seat." And it's like, "Okay, well, you've made it all the way wherever it is to me. And now you're like irritated that you have to sit by me. And then you get irritated when I tell you you don't get to sit next to me." Like, it's just shit all the way around. I love what you do, Jen. The idea of just being like, it's your lucky day. You get to deal with it.
Yep.
Genius.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's helped to alleviate anxiety because also I see the way people look, right? As they're boarding the plane and looking for a seat. And apparently now they won't be looking for a seat anymore. But still, like, it just, even with all the body love armor I can put on my body,
Right.
it still makes me feel like shit about myself. And I'm tired of feeling like shit about myself. So I'm advocating for myself all the time. Someone else can do it if they're getting a perk sitting next to me.
Well done. Bravo, sister. Thanks for that tip. I know I brought this up before, but have you ever gone on a road trip with your man and then also gone on a road trip just with the girls and noticed how much different they are? I'm like, wait, we can stop at this antique store? We can stop at this stop to get fruit? We can stop and pee 14 times? Mind blown. I love it. Do you ever travel with your girls, Jen? Road trip with your girls?
Oh, yeah. But I would say I think maybe I'm more like the one that's like, let's just get there. And Chris is like the one that has to pee all the time when I travel with my partner. But yes, girls' road trips are the absolute best, of course.
So fun, so different for me and in my life anyway. I was just like, I love this.
I remembered the thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
If you have the ability, purchase the travel Theragun, because you're not taking that giant Theragun, you're taking the tiny little one, and it's so easy to travel with. And after you've traveled, like going over your calves and stuff so that they're not like cramping up, it's so wonderful. And then if you are without a sex toy, you still have something,
Just saying. Tell everybody what a Theragun is in case some people don't know, and if they don't, they need to figure it out soon.
Oh my gosh. So Theraguns are after you do intense workouts or you're doing rehab, after, having had some sort of injury, the Theragun is just a giant motorized, it's basically like, if you've ever seen those sex machines, it's just a handheld version of that, but with a ball at the end of it. And you can target certain muscle areas. You can target like strains and things like that so that, you can release muscle tension. And it is just a super incredible device to use after you've been sitting for long periods of time. I love using it on my hips and my sciatica, like that area after I've traveled or sat for a long time. But yeah, look up Theraguns. They make generic versions of it and all that, but I found that the actual Theragun travel one, and it's specifically travel, it's like a little pyramid, and then at the end is the little ball, and it's just incredible. It's super convenient. It's really easy to charge and have ready to go, and I've not had a single problem with it.
Your mini one is so stinking cute.
It's amazing.
Does it have a handle?
No, it's just a little. It's just a little triangle,
Okay.
and it's solid. Like it's probably about about that thick, and then it's genius.
My mom has restless legs, so for her being older too, something with a handle work. So I'll share a really funny quick story. I was in Austin speaking, and my mom was able to be there, and so we were sharing a hotel room, and she calls me Jenny, and so we were like, in our own little bed, the lights are off, and she's like, "Good night, Jenny," and I'm like, "Good night, Mom," and then I hear, and I had never laughed so hard in my entire life because she didn't prepare me because it's her nightly routine with restless legs. She has to use it and travels within. So that's why I asked about the wand, because for her, just holding something would be too hard. But yeah, it was like the funniest moment that I remind her of all the time of like, good night, mom. I'm like, mom, do you want to like leave the room or something?
Mama's got Hitachi magic wand under her sheets.
Yes. It was amazing. I'll always remember that mother-daughter trip.
One of the things off-brand use that you can use the Theragun for is if you wanted to use it to, I'm just going to be blatant, pound your clit. That's amazing, but it also is a really great vulva massage, so that like if you like your inner thigh, like that groin area between, super great for muscle release there. But I will give you the caveat that it's not meant to be a sex toy. It's a metal rod that's going back and forth with a silicone end, but if you get it in the wrong area, it can like rip your skin off if you were to not do that correctly. So not advocating for that, but if yes, it does work.
I was going to say the Hitachi magic wand is also not designed to be an orgasm creator. It's designed to be a neck and back massage. But I also have a funny mom story with my Hitachi magic wand. She came to stay with us one time, and she asked if she could borrow mine because she gets really bad tension headaches. She takes Excedrin. She gets, all kinds of stuff. So I said, sure, Mom, let me just clean it real quick because, she knows. And so I cleaned it, and then I give it to her, and then I go take a bath, and I hear this sound. It's like the whole house is coming down. And my roommate and I were like, what the hell's going on? And I guess she was holding it between herself and the back of the door of it. So the whole house was literally shaking. I was like, oh my God, Mom, what are you doing? I was like, whoa, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, she's like, it's from my neck. And my roommate's just like, you let your mom use your Hitachi magic wand? I go, yeah, she knows. I cleaned it first. We laugh about that a lot too.
That's awesome. Well, Chrystal, up until recently, you were the reason why I was having so many orgasms, because you gave me a womanizer plus size, but I don't think they have them anymore. And it finally died. But I had it for so many years.
About 10 years.
Yeah,
about
you'll
10 years.
have to. I've been meaning to reach out to you because I need the longer handle.
We're trying to get them. I heard might be some things. They told us we think it's something's in the works, but yeah. Do you know any more than I know, Merf, from going to the sex toy show?
No, it sounds like it's on the way. I will say that there is a waterproof magic wand that's coming out, and it has a bigger motor. So I know we were just talking about magic wands. You might want to wait and get your mom a magic wand that's waterproof. But yeah, no, they did talk about the fact that they've heard people say they'd like longer toys for that.
And we begged her on when she came on the podcast, and we asked them to bring the information back to their design team. And she said, oh, I know. I've been telling them. So I think they're starting to hear us. So we're trying to really do a lot of advocating for we need more extension. We got to get around our bellies. We got to get around our labias. We got to some of us have short arms, Merf. So no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, for real. T-Rex arms. I'm all torso. That's it. Everything else is short. I'm curious though, talking about sex toys, like when you're traveling, what are some of your tips and tricks with your toys? Like what are you doing?
I have definitely brought like the little clitoris stimulators on trips. So I've never brought anything bigger. I think I will forever run in my head that viral TSA video with the guy who sees it as a bag. So I think that turned me off, but I think y'all could turn me on to try anything. So maybe I need to branch past that. But I've definitely traveled with those little ones and just threw it and like checked. I don't think I've ever done carry-on from that TSA video that clearly caused me some trauma, but it's amazing too. It's a hilarious video. But yeah,
it is.
That's what I've done.
I have one tip for y'all in case you're ever in a hotel room with a toy that takes batteries and your batteries go low or get too old. The remote control usually they put some fresh batteries in your remote control in your hotel room, so you can always borrow them, put them back, and then you're good to go until you can go to that, CVS or whatever.
That
Or some more
is
cheaters.
brilliant. Yes, I have road tripped with different
Yes.
toys for sure,
Yeah.
but not flying with more than just a little button pusher.
It's also nice when you travel somewhere where they have the shower head that comes off of the shower, so you can, clean things, and also it just so happens to feel really good on your clitoris. You have the point, not the all spread all over. I want that direct hit on my clitoris from the I don't know what you call it, what do you call it? Spray, not spray, but focused spray.
Clean.
Thank you.
Like yeah.
You
I gotta
know,
get some different hormones.
speaking of that, I want a big bathtub. And so one of my other
Yeah.
tips for traveling is really spending time on the reviews and looking at photos and like going on to whatever travel app you prefer and really seeing. I think I live in, New Mexico, where we have a lot of hot springs. So I was planning like a birthday trip not that long ago. And so I was like, going because some of them only have queen size beds as opposed to king size. And so really spending that time to research and showers, like some hotels, especially boutique hotels, they're supposed to be fancy or have like these itty bitty round shower things. So as a bigger person, that's something that I find I always do at travel is spend a bit more time really researching what amenities and that kind of stuff. Not to take us off the sex talk, but just to say, if I can find a big bathtub, then we can have other fun. But I always want to do that extra level of research so I know what I'm getting myself into, especially like any Airbnb rentals. Then I'm really looking closely at the bathroom too, just to make sure I'm going to fit comfortably as well.
Amen. I have a funny feeling that fat people are some of like the best detectives on the planet, because we all do so much freaking research before we go anywhere or do anything, right?
Yeah. Like restaurants, seeing if they have booths only or chairs with arms and all that kind of stuff too.
We start a what do you call it? Private eye service of all fatties. Let us do your research for you. We've already got it all. We already know it all.
I think one of the things that is minimized also is how we've talked about menopause and perimenopause a lot here. I don't know how many different types of fans, but my most recent one is this tiny little, like, it's like this big, it's round, and it clips onto like your purse, and it's bladeless, and it has 3 settings, and it just shoots air like all over. It's wonderful. I got it on the TikTok shop for like $13, and it's rechargeable, and it's literally just like that big. It's so
like
cool.
the size of a donut?
Smaller.
You sold me on that because I've seen it because I always travel with fans now, and I'm in perimenopause as well. And
Yes.
yeah, I have to have a fan when I sleep. So okay, you sold me. I always like that most hotels now have the USB ports because I need one for the phone, one for the fan, and then clearly I need to get a travel toy, and then I got one for that too.
Exactly.
What do you mean it's no blades? I don't understand.
It's like a bladeless fan, so it just like shoots air out.
Where does the air come from?
It's like a suction through,
Oh,
so it's
okay,
like
okay.
yeah,
Cool.
it's just like sucking air through and then like shooting it out. But yeah, it's fantastic. I have some of those that come around your neck and like hit you, which is nice. Like when I'm putting on makeup or something, especially, it's like over 100 degrees here on a regular, like once June starts. So, having something while I'm putting on makeup after getting out of the shower, that kind of thing. But I found that little one, now that I have that, it just clips onto my purse so that when I'm like walking around or doing whatever, I can just turn that baby on and then I've got air flowing, It's so nice.
Sold.
Jen, we never really talked about who you are before we got started today. Not everybody knows that you are Jen from Plus Mommy and Jen from Plus Birth, and that you are a podcaster and a blogger, and you've been in fat liberation for over 10 years. Tell us a little bit more about you so our listeners know who you are.
Well, thank you, Chrystal. I am a fellow podcaster. My podcast is Plus Mommy, and I'm a mom, which is why I was a little late to this recording. I'm so sorry. But I talk about, I'm a childbirth educator, so I specifically do advocacy around pregnancy and parenthood, but I branched out into all different types of things. and really focus on that medical advocacy work that we do and taking good care of ourselves and fighting for the respect that we deserve. And so my main site is plus size birth, and I have a course on there for perinatal professionals on how to be size inclusive in maternity care that I'm really excited about too. So if you don't need nurses or doctors or doulas, it's a real passion of mine to change how people are treated in maternity care. And so I do a lot of traveling all over the country. And even I've gotten to the point where I talk in my talk, like I've been trying to like be like, okay, like I'm a big person. We're just going to talk about it, right? Like get in their face right away because I like to talk about weight bias and bringing down barriers. And so I do this thing where a voice comes on. It's like, I bet she needed 2 airplane seats to get here. And then there's me on the plane, like a little video of me with my 2 seats. Cause I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do whatever I can do to get to places and have these conversations and create change. So that's what I do. It's been the heart of my work for a really long time. And getting pregnant and getting treated with respect and having an incredible birth where the whole thing wasn't about my size. It was about how can we best support you? It changed how I approach medical care for the rest of my life. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
So wonderful. So glad to know you, and so glad. I'm so happy, and really I'm very grateful to you for all your advocacy. But also, have you seen the document or webpage that Ashley created with I guess fat-friendly doctors in the PNW?
Yeah, I
Have you seen
just
that
saw
recently? Yeah,
it.
it's cool.
I've been meaning to add it
Beautiful.
to I have a web page where we talk about like how to
Yeah.
connect with size-friendly care providers. So I'll definitely be
Yeah.
adding that. That's so helpful.
Very cool. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's people are really excited to have it, and it's so important. We need so many of those tools. There's a lot more to work to do, as you know, and especially in the age of Ozempic. It's like, ooh, kind of feels like we got set back a little bit, just like with our administration. Sorry, I digress.
No, but
It's a
we
little bit.
have. I mean,
Yeah.
Chrystal, I think about when you and I first connected, and it felt
Mhm.
like a resurgence, right? Because we all know the fat
Mhm.
advocacy movement has been around for decades, but it felt like
Yeah.
this resurgence and it went social and social media and it was so exciting and liberating. And then within the last, like, even just year or two, it is definitely like, even like the comment sections and social media is shifting again towards so much fat phobia, homophobia, sexism, and hatred. And so more than ever, we need these conversations and these voices. So thanks to all 3 of you incredible humans behind this podcast for all you do, because I hate how conservative things are too. Like, why aren't we talking about sex? Like, apparently the administration just wants us to procreate, but we can't have orgasms. It's wild. So thank you for all that you do. I just got on my soapbox a little.
Yeah. We all have to get on one once in a while.
Yep. And there's no avoiding it. I got to get loud. And I really appreciate that you do what you do, Jen, because I work in healthcare and that is something that is regularly a miss. Like we're finding more and more that, maternal mental health is really a scary avenue right now. They're just now starting to get to the point where they have like a 1-800 number that you can have help, anytime to just talk to a nurse that has been through it and can like walk you through the emotional components of having a child and, maybe not always having support or being concerned or all those types of things. So, I think of all like in California, there's like the first 5 commissions where, you're talking about postpartum, you're talking about all the care that you need beforehand and then what are going to happen in that first 5 years. And it's just really important information to get out there about like if the person's not feeling safe and a part of their birth plan and feeling like they're treated with dignity and respect, you're going to impact that child's life.
Yeah, no, and thank you for that. And yeah, and Postpartum Support International is an outstanding website. If anyone's like, wait, what are one of those resources with a telephone, a number to call? And maybe Mark, you have other things to talk about, but yeah, it's hard out there. And then I think relating it back to even this episode, like traveling as a fat parent, right? You've already got, all your own literal baggage and emotional baggage. And then you have kids. Like, I remember trying to figure out, like, how am I going to hold my kid as I'm getting onto this airplane with all this stuff, and asking for help can sometimes be hard. So just encouraging anyone, just show up a little early, give yourself more buffer time, and like give yourself grace and ask for help as you can, because that can make a difference. But it is hard. Like, I think of like the times I've taken my kid to Disneyland and knowing that people are looking at the fat mom and what are you feeding your kid and all that shit. And it's hard. But at the end of the day, you've just got to shake it off and be like, I'm here for this moment in time with my family, and I'm not going to allow anyone's judgment of me to ruin it, because I'm a pretty awesome person and they're not. And so I'm going to live my best life and give these experiences for my family. But that is another layer that compounds mental health too.
Absolutely. One more thing I want to say before we wrap it up, but I want to say, I said this to my client the other day because she's getting a lot of shit. She's in her larger body and she wants to have a baby. And I said, sister, fat people have been having babies since the beginning of time. It's nothing new. Okay. We've always existed and we've managed to get pregnant. I'm pretty sure my mom was fat when she got pregnant with me, and on and on and on. So it's not I know they try to make it sound super scary, but people have been doing this for a long, long time.
Yeah. And we could have a whole another episode when we look at risks, right? And Reagan Chastain does a lot of good work around breaking down statistics. But yes, there are increased risks when you're pregnant in a larger body, but there's nothing that is only for fat bodies. And the increased risks are so small compared to how they're presented. So asking your care provider, what are my actual risks, not the relative risk? Because relative risk is what they usually tout, like 4 times more likely to get gestational diabetes. That's 4 times more likely comparing my risk to a risk of someone in a smaller body. And if the baseline risk is only, 7% or less than that, then 4 times 7 really isn't as much as you're making me feel like I'm guaranteed to get it. So just sorry to go off on a little tangent, but knowing how information is misrepresented so often around increased risk for people of size in all facets of medical care is so important. And then connecting with that size-friendly care team. And then going back to advocacy, which is something we've talked about a lot here. And we're paying for all this shit, y'all, whether it's a rental car or a plane flight or even getting a damn pap smear. We are paying for this, and we deserve to be treated with dignity, and no more of this, just allowing people to treat us poorly because we exist in larger bodies.
Yep. And this is why I point people to your website and your podcast all the time, because you know it and you feel it. I know you just live it, and it's so important to you. And anyway, I know how it's amazing how many people you've helped, how many families you've helped. So we're so grateful.
You too, Chrystal. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you. So Merf, do you want to give everybody a little update how to find us? Our email, BigSexyChatPod@gmail.com. If anybody has anything they want to send to us.
Yes, please send us your voice memos
we love
or emails. We've had fun with those. I think that you can follow us on every platform except for X, at BigSexyChat. And you can find us at BigSexyChat.com. And please like, share, follow. But really, it's word of mouth. So tell your friends. Tell your friends that you listened to a fun conversation and you got something from it. And then hopefully they'll tell 2 friends. You can leave us a review. That's always helpful. But like, comment, share. And when you comment, write a whole sentence, because if it's not more than 4 words, Facebook, Instagram, all those things don't acknowledge it as an actual comment.
So true. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Well, I guess I'm just going to sign off by saying see you later, alligators.
After a while, crocodile.
Adios, sexy humans.
Thank you, Jen. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hold up. Don't go anywhere just yet. We've got a breaking news update you don't want to miss. This just in, a special message from Tigress Osborne, Executive Director of NAFA, coming to you with an important update. Let's go to Tigress now.
Hey, Big Sexy Chat listeners. This is Tigress Osborne, the Executive Director of NAFA, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. I'm going to share some info about travel on Southwest Airlines. For many years, Southwest has been considered one of the greatest friends of plus size people in the travel industry because of their customer of size policy. Now, historically, Southwest was known in fat community as South Worst Airlines because once upon a time they had a reputation as the worst airline for fat flyers. They had some nasty and embarrassing incidents for bigger bodied travelers, and in trying to change that reputation and maintain their claim to have the friendliest skies, they introduced new procedures, and over the years, they eventually developed a customer of size policy that was the best in the industry. Until very recently, that customer of size policy allowed you to either pay in advance for a second seat and then get a reimbursement, or it allowed you to show up at the airport, ask for a second seat, and be guaranteed a second seat on the plane, regardless of the status of the flight. But like I said, that was the policy until recently. What you may not know is that Southwest recently very quietly changed their customer of size policy. They've made lots of big announcements about other changes to the airline, including assigned seating, including bags no longer flying free, including changes to how long your credits last before they expire. And all of those changes gave big announcements and emails to customers and splashy pages on their website explaining all the ins and outs of the changes that they were making. But when they changed their customer of size policy, they just quietly changed the language on their website with no announcement at all. Under today's policy, you can still buy an extra seat in advance and get reimbursed. But if you show up at the airport and request a customer of size seat, you will only be given one if the flight is not sold out. Until recently, they would offer other customers an incentive to take a different flight in order to accommodate a customer of size. But now, if the flight is full, you will be asked to wait for another flight to your destination that has 2 seats available. Whenever that is, no matter how long you have to wait. So we want you to be aware of that change so that if you were used to using the customer of size policy the old way, you know the risk you are taking if you do not purchase a seat in advance. When Southwest first announced changes, they promised that bags would continue to fly free, but then they went back on that promise. And if Southwest will make this change to the customer of size policy with absolutely no advance notice and without even letting customers know, we cannot count on them to keep today's policy either. We're going to keep demanding that Southwest be clear and transparent about the future of the customer of size policy, and you can join NAFA in urging them to do so by contacting them directly, by tagging them in social media posts about their policies, and by signing our petition at nafa.org/Southwest. NAAFA.org/Southwest. Plus size folks have been some of the most loyal customers to Southwest for years. And Southwest has been an industry leader in making flying inclusive and accessible for fat passengers and for disabled passengers of all sizes. But you need to know that even if they don't make any other changes to the customer of size policy, assigned seating will change the way it works because it currently relies on us choosing 2 seats together. When we can't do that anymore, we'll be dealing with the same hassles and complications we deal with on other airlines. The ability to travel safely, comfortably, and affordably should exist for all people in all bodies. Please join NAFA in urging Southwest not to become South Worst again.
Thank you for that exclusive update for our listeners, Tigress, and for always showing up with such fierce dedication, wisdom, and leadership. We're honored to have your voice on Big Sexy Chat and grateful for the work you do on behalf of our big, beautiful, sexy, fat community. That's a wrap on this episode of Big Sexy Chat. Until next time, stay sexy and take care of each other.